The average modern man is in crisis, with little to no hope for one's future. This is due to the highly progressive society we've established in first world Western nations, a society that encourages selfish behavior and rewards minimal effort and victimization. Never in all of history have we seen such a unique set of circumstances as we do now, where knowledge, healthcare, and technology have never been so prevalent and wealth has never been easier to obtain. Yet young men are more hopeless than ever before, causing many to end their lives at an alarming rate. How did the lives of men become so meaningless, and why doesn't society value the hardworking man? A life of pleasures with no real hardship is becoming increasingly common. Gone are the days man must hunt, kill, skin, and prepare his food. Now the fuel which keeps our bodies running can be delivered to our door in whatever quantity we desire. Long before man worked for wages, man worked to survive. When we think about those days, we think, how primitive. Yet at least man had purpose in those days. Now, purpose is growing slim. Men are spending increasingly more time working menial jobs that provide no true benefit to society, only to come home wanting to distract themselves from their miserable lives. Thus comes the need for constant stimulation, which there is no lack of in today's society, where the entertainment industry and its jobs are well rewarded despite being of no benefit to society. Yet the backbreaking jobs that keep the nation running get no recognition and are not rewarded nearly the same. How could this possibly be? Many will hear this and be quick to blame capitalism for this wickedness. But capitalism is merely an economic system designed to give power to its people where we decide what is given value. Since the demand for constant stimulation is so high and the supply is free and abundant, this industry is bound to succeed in capitalist economy. The only way for the backbreaking jobs to receive their value is through a shortage of men qualified or willing to work those jobs, which is what we're beginning to see. Since these jobs are necessary, the demand will be great, thereby forcing companies to increase wages. But even then, it wouldn't compare to the amount of money people spend entertaining themselves daily. The same people who blame capitalism consider socialism to be a better alternative, which, if you want to talk about hopeless, then socialism is the perfect economic system for you, because at least in a capitalist economy, you have the ability to rise above the rest with no limit to what you can achieve, although being increasingly slim due to monopolization and competition. Socialism, on the other hand, is completely in favor of throwing away your freedom, giving up on dreams, and settling for a life where no job is given value. In a socialist economy, the government pays you and everyone else the same wage, completely disregarding the level of difficulty that job requires. The brain surgeon getting paid the same as a taxi driver? Unbelievable. With all this being said, let's talk about a different kind of socialism, the kind men have been doing far less of since entertainment became so prevalent, socializing, which is becoming extinct. To deny oneself limitless pleasures takes great discipline, and discipline can only be learned. Too many grow old yet retain the mind of a child, not knowing the damage they are inflicting by simply doing as one so feels. The human mind was not created to be so stimulated, and by overstimulating your brain, you are actually destroying it. Your brain no longer has the capacity to store important information because it has replaced it all with junk, and to reverse this damage is a lengthy process, so it would be best to not have done so at all. There are also pleasures that may affect the body, like food, which has become far more abundant than in times of ancient man. The overindulgence of food is more often than not a lack of self control and an addiction. Addiction runs rampant in our society today, since every product is made to be highly addictive to maximize profit by creating returning customers. This addiction destroys a person's soul and will to live, which is another one of the many problems modern men face today. When there is no struggle in sight, man becomes comfortable, and in this comfort begins trying to please his emotions, which wouldn't be the case had the man been occupied with some sort of adversity to overcome and distract him from his feelings. When man begins to think for too long, the outcome is most often destructive. A lack of purpose causes man to ponder on his life, which leaves him feeling hopeless, and man tries to fill this void with various short term pleasures, but to no avail because the joy is brief. And there begins a cycle of feeling like an unproductive failure and shame, leading him to become cynical and nihilistic in his view of the world. And this is the unfortunate reality for many men today. This tragic but far too common series of events, usually coupled with a breakup or absence of a relationship, often leads young men into deep isolation, where they can go unnoticed by society for years, further radicalizing their ideas until many break. It's no surprise that there's been a tremendous increase in the number of mass shootings, considering the fact young men just don't care anymore. And why should they? When society treats them like trash, women withhold their affection, social media portrays the life they should be living, and their jobs pay like shit, all of this leaving them feeling like they're missing out on the best years of their lives. While isolation is a crucial part of every man's life, the constant isolation we're seeing from modern men is shocking and detrimental. Life loses its vigor far too often. Do something enough times, and it will become irritating. Everything you value will perish, and your interests will change. Living in an exotic foreign land will become dull, and that sports car you've always dreamed of will collect dust after you grow tired of looking at it. What once filled your mind with pure bliss now doesn't even tingle. Even your favorite food will lose its flavor if it meets with your tongue too frequently. These thoughts drive many to insanity. Looking for an escape, they long for the weekend to drown their thoughts in alcohol. But like clockwork, they find themselves back behind their desk, slaving away at their 9 to 5, for just enough to cover rent and to get by. Also, being far too exhausted to try and alter anything, they turn to distracting themselves from reality with nonsense podcasts, books, movies, games, and endless consumerism, thus creating a modern day slave. Bound by the chains of debt, they serve the banks, who take advantage of the unwealthy's poor spending habits and prey on the financially unstable, hoping they find those who might spend more than they can pay back. So they begin charging copious amounts of interest, sit back, and collect. Young men are told they must attend university if they want to get anywhere in life, by going in massive amounts of debt because not everyone is fortunate enough to receive a scholarship or have their education paid for by their parents. The young men of today foolishly listen when they are not even certain of what will become of them in life. Now they're trapped chasing after a degree they were told is a step towards success, but is actually dead weight they must carry for their early 20s and many into their 30s and beyond. Not only will this set many young men back, but actually be the reason they become stuck in debt forever, considering they will also need a car and a house, which most will take out loans for. Then there's credit card debt and interest from those who carelessly splurge with their new magical card. After college, with degree in hand, they begin searching for jobs, only to find out a degree is completely overlooked in the job market today. Because they mean so little, companies hire based on experience, which college students lack plenty, since classroom curriculum often correlates very poorly with real life scenarios that require hands on training. These struggles make it difficult in a society where women have extremely high and unrealistic standards for young men that expect very little in return, with most first world women wanting a man making minimum 6 figures a year, 6 foot and up, chiseled body, perfect face, and the humor of a stand up comedian. Many young men coming from broken households, witnessing their mothers get custody and take so much from their father, grow up to fear women that seem to have the ability to destroy their lives. Divorce is extremely common now, and young men just don't see a point in starting a relationship that will ultimately end in failure. Unloyal women having their DMs flooded with other guys, and most young men can't compete with the endless options women have to choose from, so they don't even bother trying, or they do, and get heartbroken, which leads them to view women as evil. It often takes this rejection for men to realize nice guys finish last, which results in radicalized men who want to abuse others physically and manipulate women for their personal gain. We often get frustrated that day by day it seems as if nothing changes, but when you look back, everything is different. Only in hindsight can we see how impactful even the smallest of decisions were in shaping our lives. Having the ability to choose becomes a burden. The endless options create anxiety, leaving you always feeling like you're missing out no matter what choice you make. The vast amount of decisions presented to you becomes overwhelming, each decision holding a significant role in the shaping of your future. This is why many clock out. The notion that there are people out there that have achieved greater than you with far less proves that you have the capability to reach that same echelon, but the lack of guidance and or knowledge is what you think is keeping you bound by shackles, when in reality, it's the multitude of choices you have with how to live your life and your own indecision which is keeping you stuck. Instead of choosing a path, you remain, going nowhere. Days pass by, yet you remain in the same place you began. Mankind was happier when he had fewer choices. Think back hundreds of years ago, when you would just inherit the business of your father, being trained in those skills from when you were a child, when you knew much less about what others were doing and just focused on what you could do, which wasn't much. Why were people so blissful? Because they didn't know what they didn't have. Now, with the mass exchange of information, people know about everything. They're missing out, which creates a void that doesn't allow you to be grateful for what you have because you always want what someone else has.